Hello students, welcome back. In this video, we're going to add a resource system to our game. This is going to be something that our player has to manage, control, or keep track of. In our case, this is going to come in the way of a sequence of platforms that the user has to jump one at a time through. We'll start by just having maybe one platform in our sequence, and that platform will light up, indicating that the player's got to move there. And once they move there successfully, they'll be teleported back to their starting zone, and our sequence will have two platforms in it. That first starting one and a second one, and the player will go through. And if they get it right, we'll then add 3 platforms, and then 4 platforms, and 5 platforms. And this will add sort of like our puzzle aspect to the game, something that we have to keep track of as we are playing. So let's head to the computer screen and let's dive right into our sequence. So I have lesson 4's starter file open here, right here, resource system, the sequence. So I'm going to minimize that folder really quick, and I'm going to open my Light Steps folder directly, and we are going to go to lesson 4 and open it here in the browser. And let's see what we have to begin with. So it looks like my player can still jump. When my player lands on a lit up platform, it lights them up. So this looks like it's decent. The only problem is I don't want to light up the platform. I want the computer to light up the platform, right? I want it to say like, okay, green lights up, which means we got to go jump to green. And then when we get it right, we get teleported back to the beginning. And then I want it to say green, blue. All right, so green, blue. I get that sequence right. I teleport back to the beginning. Green, blue, purple. So then I continue on and on. Now, I really shouldn't be thinking about these in terms of color, because what I'm going to think of them as an index in a container of platforms. This is the position here is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it's those platforms, platform 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, that we will target and try to light up. All right, so let's head to our computer screen and let's look at mission number 1. It says add the sequence system variables for mission number 1. So let's scroll down through our code and let's see what we have here in the student edit zone that we might be able to use to tweak or modify or change the sequence system that we're building. All right, so I scroll down and it looks like we've got a new value here called preview on frames. So eventually we are going to be showing a sequence to the user that we have to replicate. And so this green platform is going to light up, indicating we got to move there. We're going to keep it on for a certain amount of time before we turn it off and show the next platform in the sequence. So we can use our preview on frames to determine how many frames we're going to keep it on. So right now we're going to keep it on for 35 frames. If we're running at 60 frames per second, it's going to be a little bit more than half a second. All right, so that's going to be very helpful for us. If we scroll down and look at our color palettes, we've got nothing in our color palette here at all to use, nothing new. But let's look at our gameplay variables. It looks like we have a few new gameplay variables for our sequence, and that's where mission 1 finds us, adjusting these gameplay variables. So first it says we have something called sequence. It says we got to track the player and the pattern and the player's progress. So our sequence is going to consist of multiple platforms, right? It could be platform 0, then 2, then 5, then 1. We need a place to store all of those pieces of information. And the place we store them is in a data structure known as an array. So 2 square brackets right here. And you can think of an array like a container. So this is an array or a container. That's how I like to think about it. Now, once we have that array, we can put things inside of the array. So I might put platforms. I might say platform 0, and then platform 2, and then platform 5, and then platform 1. And this is really, really helpful, because if I want to write code that is going to target all of these platforms, like let's say 5 lines for this platform, and then the same 5 lines for this, and then the same 5 lines for this platform, and the same 5 lines for that platform, that would be 20 lines of code. But instead, I just write 5 lines of code, and I use it to target the container. I target the array, and I say apply this code to every single item that is inside of the array. And those items come at certain positions in the array. This first item is at position 0, this next item is at position 1, then position 2, and then position 3. And we can actually use those positions to reach into the container and pull out what we want. So the way we do this is we just type the name of the array, sequence, square brackets to indicate we want to open it up, and then we put a position number in. So if I put position number 3 in here, it's going to go into position 3 and grab the last element of our array. Interestingly enough, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 elements in our array, so the length of our array is 4, and the last position here is 3. We can move through our array and do code for this platform, and this platform, and then this platform, moving forwards through the array. We can also start at the end and go backwards. And we're going to see all of these applications here in this video and in upcoming videos. So now I have that data structure correct. Our sequence is going to be a container in which we will put platforms. But then we want to keep track of where we are at in that sequence. So our sequence progress index is going to tell us, like, how many platforms do we have right? Do we have 0 platforms right? Do we have 1 platform right? 2 platforms? 3 platforms? 4 platforms? Well, when we define our variable here, we're going to say, let's start with 0 platforms right. We've made 0 progress. All right, and then we've got a couple other variables that I think are set for us, but are worth talking about. We have our isShowingSequence variable. This is currently set to false, but if we're trying to show our preview, like if I'm trying to show the sequence here, green, then blue, then purple, then red, we light them up, we are going to be showing that sequence. We would set this to true. And so this true or false value is known as a Boolean variable. If we are showing the sequence, we might do some code. If we're not showing the sequence, we might do some different code. So we're going to use that in questioning whether or not we are currently showing our sequence. And if we are showing our sequence, we want to know what part of the sequence we are currently showing in our preview. So, right, this is going to keep track of, where's that list that I had? Well, in our array, right, platform 0, platform 2, platform 5, platform 1. I'm going to have to keep track of where I am at in the preview. So maybe I'm right here in the preview. So preview sequence index would be 0, 1. It would be 2, our platform at position 2. And then I've got preview timer frames. So we're going to light each one of these up for a certain amount of time and then count down. It is going to be this constant right here. We're going to set our timer to be preview on frames, 35 frames, and then we'll count it down. So we'll say 35, then 34, then 33, then 32, and then all the way down to 3, 2, 1. And when it hits 0, we'll say, okay, turn that platform off and light up the next platform. And we'll continue that on and on and on. So this will help us accomplish that goal. All right, I think mission 1 is really great. We have a good overview of the sequence system and the variables that we have here. So let's now go to mission number 2. So I'll hit a Command F here and we'll type mission 2. Mission 2 finds us in a function called generate next sequence color. All right, and it says, ensure there are no repeated platforms. Make sure there's no repeated platforms in the sequence. This would be too difficult to show in the game. Imagine we had a sequence that lit up green, then red, then blue, then red, and then it lit red again. Well, red lighting up and then red lighting up again, it's just going to look like it stayed on for a longer period of time. So we're going to try to make sure that we do not have repeated platforms in our sequence. So let's look at these functions. We got some new functions right here. These are, if I go up, these are all like my check player platform landings, check player fall off screen. So those were the player's physics functions, right? But now we have begin next sequence round. I have generate next sequence color. I have update sequence preview. So that's updating the preview of our sequence. And then I have update sequence progress. That's updating the player's progress in the sequence. And then we have a reset sequence. All right, so we got all these nice sequence functions. So it looks like in generate next sequence color, I got to pick what platform I'm going to light up next, right? So I got to pick what platform I'm going to light up next. And it says, let next platform index equal floor random 0 to 6. So random 0 to 6 is going to create a random number between 0 and 6, including decimals. So it might make 0.45. It might make 1.23. It might make 2.88 or 3.45 or 5.99, but it will never go beyond 6. Well, an index is a position in an array. You can't have a position at 1.23. It's either at position 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And so what we're going to do here is we are going to take the floor function to chop off the decimal of the random number we get. So this would become 0. This would become 1. This would become 2. This would become 3. And this would become 5. So it's going to give us that integer. All right. And so we're going to store that in our next platform index. And then we're going to ask a question. We're going to say, hey, if our sequence array, if its length is greater than 0, only if it's greater than 0. When we start the game, it starts completely empty. So the length of that is 0, and this will never answer yes. So we don't got to worry about anything in here. So what do? It looks like we're returning this value. So we're sending the next platform index that we generate somewhere else. Let's just assume we generated an index of 2. So platform 0, platform 1, platform 2. It would be this blue platform right here. Eventually, we're going to want to somehow put it into our array. So we'll put it into the array. Now, when we generate our next sequence color, we're going to pick a new platform index. So we randomly select something. Let's say it is 4. Our length is now greater than 0. We have one element in the array. So this statement will trigger, and we are going to run our code. And it says we got to make sure there's no repeated platforms in the sequence, because this would be too difficult to show in our game. Well, right now, if I added an index of 4, it would go 0, 1, 2. It would go this blue platform, 3, 4, and then it would go this cyan platform. So they're not the same, so I don't have to worry about it. But when would they be the same? Well, it would be the same if we generated that same number. So what we're going to do here is we're going to run a while loop, which will continue checking as long as something is true. This little bit of code right in here will continue running over and over again. So we're going to ask a question, and while the answer to that question is, yeah, that's correct, we are going to continue to pick a new platform index. So we're going to try to pick a new number here. The thing that we're going to do is we're going to check to see if our new platform index, that number we generated, next platform index, tab for autocomplete. We're going to check to see if it's equal to, 3 equal signs, the last element in our container here. So how do I get that last element? Well, I'm going to open up the container. So I'm going to type sequence. That's the name of our array. Square brackets to open it up. And I'm going to reach in and grab the last element. That last element is going to change its position as we put more and more and more and more things in here. But the last index is always 1 less than the length. Right now, our length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And our positions or indices are 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this guy right here always is 1 less than the length of our array. So inside, I'm going to open up my square brackets. I'm going to reach in and grab whatever is at sequence.length. So that's the length of the array minus 1. If those things are equal, then we would have a repeated platform, and we can't do it. So we just generate a new platform index, and we keep doing this until they are no longer equal, and then we return that value. Awesome. So let's delete that. Let's clear that up. Let's clean this up a little bit. Now we can ensure that we will get no repeated platforms. This will be perfect. And I think this allows us to move on to mission number 3. Mission number 3 says, hey, we can guarantee that we have a brand new platform, something that's not repeated. We got to add it to our sequence. So that array, that big old container that's supposed to hold platforms, we somehow have to add it to that array. And this finds us in a function called begin next sequence round. And let's look at the first thing that we do here. We create a variable called next platform index, and we get its value from generate next sequence color. That's the function we were just working in. And you see how we return our next platform index? So we return it. We make sure that it is unique, right? It's not going to be repeated. We get that value, and now we have it here inside of this function. So what we need to do is we have to put it into our array. So we got to put it in. So if I got index 4, I got to pop it in. If I had an index of 3, I got to pop it in. An index of 5, I got to pop it in. So how do we put something into a container? How do we put something into an array? Well, we push it into the array. So we start by typing the array's name, sequence dot, and then we'll call the push method. And this is going to push something at the end of the array. What we want to push into the end of the array is our next platform index. All right, let's hit a semicolon here, and let's see what is going to happen if we run this right now. So now our sequence should have a platform in it. Well, I think our sequence has a platform in it. I just have no idea what platform it is. It could be the green one, the red one, the blue one, the yellow, the cyan, or the magenta. Because right now we're not showing any of our preview. So we got to figure out, how do we go about showing the preview of our sequence? So let's look at mission number 4. Hey, mission number 4 brings us just below. It's about triggering that preview. We want to prepare to show the sequence preview. Make sure to show the first platform that is in the sequence. So I have this Boolean variable. We said, hey, is showing sequence. It is set to false right now. But I think we want to actually show the preview. We just put something in our sequence. So maybe we start the game and we say, hey, let's start with yellow. We want to show that preview. So I'm going to set is showing sequence to true. And then we want to set our preview to show the first platform in the sequence. So look here, we've got this preview sequence index number. Well, our first platform is going to not be at index -1. It would be at index 0. Remember, we said we start positioning at 0 in those containers. And then we've got this timer. It says preview timer frames. How long are we going to leave that one platform lit up? So maybe the yellow platform. How long are we going to leave it lit up for? Well, right now it's set to 0. I don't like that. We have a variable called preview on frames. I think it's set to like 35 frames. All right, now we are triggered. We are set to show our preview, and we are lighting up a given platform. We set our lit platform index equal to our sequence at that index. So we're reaching in and grabbing what is at index 0 of our sequence array and saying, hey, that's what we are going to light up. So let's run this. Let's test this. If I refresh the game, ooh, yellow's lit up. As soon as I hit enter, oh, yellow went away. Well, that's a bummer. So if I hit game over and I hit restart, hey, blue is lit up. Yellow's lit up. I keep hitting restart. Blue, yellow, red. Okay, what else can I light? Ooh, I'm lighting up green. All right, so they're all lighting up. But it seems like as soon as I start the game, they go away. And I'll tell you why. Because we have competing systems right now. Right now, we have our sequences lighting up platforms, and we also have the player lighting up platforms. If I jump on this red platform, it lights up, and it will stay lit up until I land on a different platform, and then it goes out. So when we restart our game, the green platform starts lit up, which is beautiful and wonderful. But as soon as I hit enter, you know what happens? As soon as I hit enter, gravity takes over and pulls me in contact with this platform right here and turns it off. So that's not necessarily good. We need to fix that. We need to somehow maybe disable the player. So let's take a look and see if we can do that. We're going to go to mission number 5. Mission number 5 says block player movement during our preview. Okay, so that's exactly what we need to do. And it finds us in our update player function. So right now, update player is going to get called every single frame of the game because it is being called from the default P5 draw function. We are updating our player every single game. If our game is in play mode, we're updating our sequence preview and we're updating our player. Okay, so we're asking a question here. It says if false. Ooh, I don't like questions like that because those questions are always going to answer no. All right, this is never going to be true. And so we will never return. And what return does here, if this question answers yes, we will run a return statement which says, forget the rest of this code down here. Forget all of this. Don't run it. Just get out of this function. Return out of this function. So when do we not want to update the player's movement or jump or their physics or check for collisions? Well, it's going to be if we're showing our sequence. And we have a nice variable that is keeping track of that called is showing sequence. And it's right here in my list, and I'll hit tab to autocomplete. So now, as long as we're showing the sequence, we're not going to update the player at all. Once we're done showing the sequence, then we can go through and do all of these things. So let's refresh the game. So right now, I hit start. Hey, the cyan button lit up. The cyan platform lit up. I restart the game. All right. I hit enter. I can't move. Hey, all right. So blue. I got to get there though. All right. So I'll restart the game. I hit enter. The green is lit up. Restart the game. All right. The red is lit up. Hey, that's pretty good. Restart the game. I can't move until it is done lighting up. So now we no longer have those competing and conflicting systems. Mission 5 solved so much for us. What's mission 6 ask us to do? Well, mission 6 says we should probably grow the sequence, right? I mean, if I get it right, I got to go to blue. I go to blue. Hey, give me another platform. So increase the sequence from 1 to 2, and then from 2 to 3, and 3 to 4, and 4 to 5, and all that good stuff. So how are we going to do that? Well, it finds us in a function called update sequence progress, and it's going to take in an index from a platform. let's see where we're calling this from. So I'm going to double click update sequence progress to highlight it and hit Control F. And now it's in my search bar. And we are at the second of 2 instances here. If I hit up, I can see that I'm calling it when I check my player platform landing. So if I'm moving here and I say, whoa, I just landed on a platform, that is correct. I landed on a platform. We're now going to check to see if it is the correct platform. So let's update our sequence progress. All right, so we're going to pass in the index of the platform that I just landed on. So in this case, it would pass in 0, 1. It would pass in a 1. All right, so what do we do with it? Well, we pass in that platform index, and we got to figure out what platform were we supposed to jump on. So we reach into our sequence, which is the list of all of our platforms in their order, and we grab out of it the current progress index. And so now I know this is what we should have jumped on. This is what we were expected to jump on. And we check to see if the index that we passed in, that's the platform that I landed on, if it's equal to our expected platform index. If it is, it means we jumped on the right platform. Hey, let's up our progress by 1. We're going to go to the next platform in the sequence. And then if it's not, what are we going to do? Well, okay. If it is the correct sequence platform, we add 1 to it, and then we check another follow-up question. If our progress index is greater than the length of the sequence. For example, maybe our sequence is platform 3, platform 1, platform 0, platform 4. So I go through and I go to platform 3. Boom. All right. So expected platform index is 3. My platform index is 3. So this is correct. Sequence progress goes now to this guy right here. So the next time I got to jump to platform 1. So that's going to be my red platform. So I jump. All right. So that's perfect. So now I pass in. We are grabbing from our sequence our platform at that index right here. So we're going to get expected platform index is 1, my platform index is 1. And we just keep moving through this container. But once we go beyond the length of the container, that means it is time to grow our sequence. So if our progress index is now past the length of the container, there's nothing else to check. It means we got to grow our sequence. So in order to grow our sequence, we're going to first reset the player. So we're going to put the player back to its starting position. We're going to say, hey, great job, player. You did a wonderful job. And then we need to somehow add another element to the sequence and have the player start all the way back at the beginning. So we would add another platform and then make them go through and jump 3, 1, 0, 4, 1. So how are we going to do that? Well, if we look, we were working in begin next sequence round. Remember, we generate the next sequence color. We make sure it's a unique color, and then we push it into our array. So I think that's exactly what we need to do here. We need to go back, and once we reset the player, we're going to call begin next sequence round. All right, let's test mission number 6. Let's see how this works. All right, so I got to hit the red. Boop. All right, so red was, hey, look at that. It moved me. So now I do red and then cyan. All right, I got that right. Ooh, this is great. Red, cyan, yellow. As soon as I get it right, I get transported and I get another element in the sequence. All right. Oh, but I got it wrong. I shouldn't have gone to red. And it let me count that. So that's not good, right? If we get something wrong in the sequence, we should probably have to start over. So if we look at mission 7 finds us right here to reset the player. So this is if we get the correct platform. We landed on the correct platform. Our else statement means we did not land on the correct platform. So if we didn't land on the correct platform, we are going to reset our player again. We're going to go back to our home base. And then we are going to allow them another chance. But we're just going to have to set their progress over. And so if we look here, reset sequence resets our progress index. And it tells us that we're no longer going to show our preview and we're not going to light anything up. So I'm just going to call reset sequence to take our progress through that sequence and reset it. So now if I get something wrong, let's see what happens. So I'm going to go blue. All right, I'm going to go green, blue, green. And then I'm going to get it wrong here. So I'm going to go to blue, green. Oh, it's supposed to be blue, green, and then I'm going to go to red. All right, so I'm wrong, right? I got it wrong. So I can't just go to blue and expect that I'm done. I have to repeat the whole sequence. So now I got to go blue, green, blue, and now I can continue on. And so this is a nice little thing for us, especially once we start adding some like pressure here that we have to complete these sequences in a certain amount of time. We'll get the opportunity to redo them over and over again until we get them right, as long as there's time available. Now, one of the things I'd really love is we got this HUD here to tell me how many steps of the sequence there are. I would really like to know what I'm at. So let's go to mission number 8. And I think mission number 8 is going to have us, update our HUD. So we're going to display the sequence progress in the HUD to show how many of our steps have been completed. So I have sequence currently 0 out of 0. That's a hard-coded string, which is always going to stay the same. So we don't want that. So we're going to add to our string. We'll say sequence. And then I have the sequence progress index variable. So that's going to be 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. And then we're going to add to it a string of a little slash, so like out of, and then we want the total number of elements that are currently in our sequence, and that is the sequence array. It is its length variable, so we'll add sequence.length. All right, and with that, I think this lesson on our sequence is complete. Let's run this. Let's test this whole system. All right, so it says right now my sequence, I have 0 out of 1. I wasn't paying attention. I think I saw the blue one light up. So I'm going to jump to blue. All right, perfect. So I got that. So now sequence is 0 out of 2. I do blue. I'm at 1 out of 2. 2 out of 2. All right, so blue, green, purple. Blue, green, purple. All right, so now I got 4 steps in my sequence. Blue, green, purple. And if I get this one wrong, I go back to 0. So I got to start over. Yeah, blue, green. I think it was purple and then green again. Let's just see. Purple and then green. Awesome. So this is working really good. Now we kind of have like a platformer that's also built, like there was an old game, it was called Simon, where you had to recall the memory pattern. And it's like a hybrid of those two games. So I'm really, really happy with how the sequence has added a level of gameplay to light steps that we were missing before. Before it was just a platformer, some little guy jumping around. But now it is a platformer with a puzzle aspect of having to keep track of the order of this sequence as it grows and expands, which is going to get a lot of fun when we start adding pressure systems that's going to like make it more urgent that we remember it quickly. So we'll stop here for right now, and I'll see you in the next video.